Hey guys, Andrew here, bringing you another top 10 list, this time with our top 10 picks for the nature civilization. So just a quick reminder on our three ranking criteria. So firstly, how likely am I to play this card when I'm running the Civ? Secondly, how much does this card make me want to include the Civ? And lastly, how good is this card overall? You know the drill. Now, nature has always been one of my favorite civs to play for its speed and aggression. So overwhelming your opponent with strong evolution creatures such as Barcode or Fighter Dual Fang. But also surprisingly, there is also a lot of utility in nature, such as shield generation cards. You've got cards like Monomix and Sky Sword. Now, I know Sky Sword isn't really a nature card. Well, it is, but he's also a rainbow card. But I thought I'd just include him just as an example. Otherwise, you've also got specific card search in nature, which is quite unique. So cards like Dimension Gate and Rumbling Terrorhorn, among others. So in turn, and this wasn't really until many years after we started playing and stopped playing and then restarted again, that nature is a great civilization for not only rush decks, but also control decks too. So without further ado, onto the list. So firstly, some honorable mentions. Now, Quixotic Hero Swinesnout just barely misses out on the list. But don't get me wrong, he's actually a great individual card that packs quite a punch. He kind of forces your opponent to play awkwardly by either skipping playing a creature for that turn, otherwise you risk getting 2 or 3 shields broken by this guy. Not to mention he's also a Beastfolk and can evolve into either Barkwhip or Fighter Dual Fang. Which does lead us to Fighter Dual Fang himself. Now back in the day, I really did think this card was the best card ever. You know, he had the coolest artwork and always seemed to pull through in eliminating those last shields or dealing that finishing blow. However, nowadays, although I still think he is the coolest looking card, his effect and impact is definitely not as good as I thought before. For 6 mana or 8 mana if you evolve him on a Quixotic or Bronzong, he comes out relatively late, for which you've got other cards which can compete for its spot, such as Graves Valkyrie, or maybe you want to spend that turn playing removal cards such as Burst Shot or Blizzard of Spears. Additionally, also for 1 more mana, you can play cards like Bolmedius or Twin Cannon. So apart from a Beastfolk-centric rush or mid-range deck, it is actually quite surprisingly hard to fit this guy in, as he does require you to run that critical number of Beastfolk, which again, you may be better off running other cards. The last card that didn't quite make it onto the list is Rumbling Terrorhorn. Again, I think he's a great utility card, and it's quite unique to the Nature Civ, which is, specific card search. Apart from, say, Crystal Memory, Nature is really the only other Civ that allows you to specifically search for cards in your deck, which gives it bonus points. And the how much does this card make me want to include the Civ category. However, again, I feel like he's just a bit too slow to be played for 5 mana. And although he is quite decent at 3k, would you play him over, say, Coral or Illusionary Merfolk? Coming in at number 10, which may surprise some of you, is our friend Cryptic Totem, which you may be thinking, why isn't he high on the list? So to simply put it, after playtesting game after game with him, is that he's too slow. I feel like the meta right now, or at least our meta, since there isn't really a meta as the game is dead, is that you can't really be affording to play a 6 mana card that doesn't have an immediate effect. Either you get rushed down by your opponent's existing creatures, or it simply gets removed by insert your favorite removal card, such as Therapid or Natural Snare. Secondly, its effect, I've come to realize, isn't all that you make it out to be. Unlike his big dragon counterpart, Bomedius, the shields that you break don't get discarded. Instead, they go into your opponent's hand, and unless you're winning the game on that turn, your opponent can use those cards, which may prove crucial in a comeback later on. Although one combo that I do think deserves some mentioning is that playing on Cryptic Totem on turn 6 and then following up with Twin Cannon the next turn is actually quite good. So it is for these reasons that he scrapes by, making it to the 10th spot on the list. Taking the number 9 spot on the list is Dimension Gate. As I mentioned before for Rumbling Terrorhorn, Dimension Gate has quite an interesting effect that is quite unique to the Nature Civ, and that being specific card draw. Now, Dimension Gate makes it where Rumbling Terrorhorn didn't, for its versatility in only being 3 mana, which is actually quite a big deal, as it lets you to play this card along with the card that you searched for right after. For example, Dimension Gate into Twin Cannon. As a bonus, it's also a shield trigger. Making it to the number 8 spot is everyone's favorite, the king of the schoolyard duels, Barcode the Smasher. At 2 mana 5k, which also pumps up your other beast folks, it was quite hard to deal with. Bar breaking a shield trigger such as Therapid or Aqua Surfer, he's not going anywhere. I think he was really the first card that made people realize, oh, synergies are a thing, and evolutions can work. Concannon Turnip makes a surprise appearance on the number 7 spot. Now, one thing that the Nature Civilization has is unique ways of utilizing your mana as a resource. This card actually makes you think which mana to tap, as demonstrated by this clip.
Doesn't matter. I can charge these two.
Which mana do you tap?
I tap these 2 mana.
Ooh. Oh my gosh, that's cheating.
So that's 3 mana.
Yeah. And then when tapping mana actually matters.
Yep.
It's okay, you can't play anything for 1 mana anyway. Oh no, but you have 2 mana. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So
which ones do you tap?
If I use...
So you want to tap the one that you get back, right?
Yeah. These 2.
Oh, mana first.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I'll tap... I have to tap this, yeah. Oh, so good!
Okay, what did you... Oh my god! Oh my god! You played like 6 mana worth of stuff with 4 mana.
And as you can see, you can pull off some crazy stuff, such as playing 6 mana worth of creatures for only 4 mana. Uncanny Turnip is what makes Wave Strikers work, by having the ability to get out multiple Wave Strikers in one turn. Now I know this card doesn't really score much points in the how likely I am to play this card when running the Civ category, as you are restricted to Wave Striker decks, but given its crucial role in making Wave Strikers work, it certainly deserves a spot on the list. In a similar train of thought, the next individual on the list also shares the same quality as being the key card that makes the archetype work. Factory Shell Q is what makes Survivors work. I think the effect is also unique and quite neat. It's basically a draw engine.
I guess I don't really need you. Because I can just get you.
Oh no. So it begins.
Nope.
It's too dangerous.
Why not? Why not? You should have. Okay.
I'm letting you set up.
Smash one. Smash one. Or smash one.
Uh-oh.
It's okay.
I think it's over too.
I only have one nature mana.
Oh, that
Two.
first shot.
Yeah, that was shot.
Won the game.
Two. My Blazosaur army. No, I don't want to finish you next time.
Okay.
So basically how it works is you play turn 6 Factory Shell, search out Graveworm Q. If they get rid of your Factory Shell Q, you can revive it, you can retrieve it with Graveworm. If not, you can play Graveworm into Blazosaur or any combination of cheap Survivor into Blazosaur, and then into another Blazosaur, and then into another Blazosaur. Basically, if you have 2 mana, it's a free Blazosaur. Often the case, you'll find it quickly spirals out of control when it gets running. And once you've reached a critical mass, you can search for Q-Tronic and finish the game. Fairy Life takes the 5th spot on the list. This card was probably the single-handed most underrated card in Duel Masters. And I think there's good reason to it. When you first take a look at this card, you immediately think it doesn't do anything. It's a -1. However, we've quickly begun to realize that this card accelerates your game a lot. Imagine playing Lost Soul a turn earlier, or Cranium Clamp a turn earlier. It really does make a difference. And the thing is, when you play it on turn 2, it's not really a -1. For each of your turns beyond turn 2, you get an extra mana. It's probably that fact that we overlook the most. However, one thing I will say is that you do have to plan out your curve quite well. For example, if I'm playing Fairy Life, the next turn, what am I going to play? I'll have 4 mana, which means it would be a waste if I spent my next turn playing a 3 mana card, which, quote unquote, you would be floating that extra mana. Coming in at the number 4 spot is Mana Nexus, another neat card that allows you to utilize your mana as a resource. Mana Nexus really is a game saver. One of the key combos is, since it is a shield trigger himself, you can always Monomixus, a Monomixus, a Monomixus, a Monomixus, and so forth. When you break into one Monomixus, it's not just breaking into one Monomixus. On the other hand, you also get to choose what you put into your shields. It's also crazy cheap, and you can often just hard cast it, and it's also quite good. For the number 3 spot, we've got our old friend Natural Snare. Now, not much to really say here other than it's a crate trigger. Similar to your Terra Pits, Holy Ores, Arc-Surfers, it's a staple in any nature deck. Well, the one point that I would like to point out is that although Natural Snare is splashable in any nature deck, you do have to ask yourself, would I be better off running Terra Pit or Arc-Surfer instead? As they do similar things. Do I really need both? Have a look at your Civ balance and also mana balance. One thing you don't want to be doing is bricking. Taking the penultimate spot on the list is our favorite Beast Folk card, Bronzong Tribe. If I were to ask you to name a nature card, I can guarantee you a majority of you would say Bronzong Tribe. And that's because he is everywhere. He has all the advantages of Fairy Life that I mentioned before, plus a 1k body for 1 extra mana. He is great at putting on some additional pressure in the early game, or act as a sparse attacker later on in the game. And of course being evil bait for Bark Whip and Fighter Dual Fang. Which leaves us to number 1, Soul Swap. The best way to describe how broken this card is to imagine the scenarios. For 3 mana, you can swap your Bronzong Tribe for your Bomedius, or Twin Cannon, or even worse, Bomb Bazaar. And next turn, you can soul swap into another Twin Cannon or Bomb Bazaar. There is a reason why Bomb Bazaar was considered to be the most broken card in Duel Masters. And this card just amplifies it, times 1,000. Additionally, you can also use this card on your opponent's creatures. Say you see their Bomedius, why not swap it for a Bronzong? Remember when I mentioned how you could access your mana as a resource? Well, this takes it to another level. Soul Swap is also vastly better than similar cards of its nature, such as Transmogrify or Rapid Reincarnation, as you get control over what the outcome is, rather than relying on high rolls. And that's it. Overall, nature is a solid civilization that is a great include for all playstyles. If you're looking to speed up your game through its mana acceleration, unique creature search, or even pull out crazy combos with Soul Swap, then nature's got your back. Anyway, this is Andrew, and you've been watching The Gauntlet.